Welcome to our TED Talk about stereotyping of college students. Raise your hand if you feel like you have ever been stereotyped. We collected data from 100 students, 70 of them being female and 30 of them being male. 83.84% of the students at Indiana State University feel like they have been stereotyped at least once on our campus. Based off of our research, we found that stereotypes are found in Greek life, partying, race, and being a student athlete. Our survey results show that 82% of the college students at Indiana State University feel like they have been stereotyped because of going Greek. There are both pros and cons to going into a sorority or fraternity. According to going Greek, one of the negatives is drinking more often if you are involved in a sorority or fraternity. With the results of the study, we found that fraternity members are about 14% more likely to drink more frequently, and sorority members are about 9% more likely to drink more frequently. However, there are positives with being involved in Greek life. According to Going Greek, Greek letter membership correlates with intense retention and a shorter time to graduate, although it does not have anything to do with GPA. Some of these positive and negative examples of being in a sorority may be what people at Indiana State feel. When we asked what most students feel like they have been stereotyped as, 63 out of the 100 people at Indiana State University said that they feel like they are stereotyped as being a partier or attending parties. When thinking of the different stereotypes that college students are encountering, this is probably the most common. Typically, all students are supposed to go to one party or experience one party college experience. But what if you don't want to go to parties? If you do not want to go to parties, the best advice to someone who feels like they are stereotyped is to use your voice and to be heard. There's other people out there who probably feel ashamed to admit that they don't want to go to parties, but this is something that you should not be ashamed of because it is just of interest that you have and you should be open to talking about it. Most college parties that people attend have a theme. Sometimes the theme can come off as a stereotype because people are always posting pictures and they feel like they have to fit in, but that's not always true. Based on our survey and asking the question, why do you feel stereotyped? About 22 out of 100 of the students feel as if they have been stereotyped about their race. College is already stressful enough the way it is, but having stereotypes put on you while being in college can be very stressful. Brent Davis, a writer from the Pisano, talks about a time as a college student where he felt as he was stereotyped because of his race. Brent Davis was very stereotyped in a negative way when he told his parents that he was going to go to college. He got accepted into a college that was predominantly white students. Not only was he stereotyped on campus, but he was also stereotyped by his own family. His family was questioning him if he could really go to a school that was predominantly white kids, but he knew that he could do it. Brent Davis then recently started to fail college. Not only did he have to drop out of school, but his parents just began to laugh at him. They didn't really care because they pretty much told him at the beginning that this was going to happen. So he did not let that stereotype define him. He realized that he needed to go back, he needed to get his degree, but he needed to do it with knowing that he's going to have that stereotype on him. He overcame this by just telling himself that it's okay and that no matter what, everyone's going to be stereotyped, but he was going to prove that he was not that stereotype. So each race has their own stereotype that can affect college kids. And it is very important that you be mindful about what you say about others because you could be stereotyping someone and that's not something you want to do. Based on the question that we asked in our survey that asked who is stereotyped most often, only 6% out of the 100 college students said that they felt like they were stereotyped because they were a student athlete or a part of a student athlete organization. Student athletes are commonly stereotyped by organizations, professors, and other students. There are both positive and negative stereotypes that come with being a student athlete. One of the most well-known organizations that stereotypes student athletes is the National Collegiate Athletic Association, which is also known as the NCAA. The NCAA rulebook has significantly low opinions of student athletes by saying that they must ensure their academic commitment, even though general students do not have to do that. Student athletes at the University of California, Berkeley reported that 15% of them felt perceived as positive as a student athlete. This is disheartening to many of those student athletes because professors and coaches would collaborate to convince the students that they could only major in specific majors. In order to help the student athletes who have had this conflict between sports and academics, the University of California, Berkeley has implicated the Cultural Studies of Sports and Education Master's Program. This is to help empower the students who are student athletes that feel like they are stereotyped so they can be successful just as general students while being an athlete. Other than the stereotypes that we discussed today, like being involved in sorority or fraternity life based on your race, being a student athlete, or partying, we also feel like there are stereotypes of being broke or simply not having enough money to help support yourself, being a procrastinator, which means that you're always not wanting to do your homework, but we know that there are a lot of students out there who do stay on top of their homework, or simply being stereotyped based off of the organizations that you were involved on campus. Even though stereotyping does happen on college campuses, it is something that we definitely need to stop. The way to stop this is to be welcoming, open-minded, and to be able to listen to others. Everyone has their own story, and you need to be willing to open up and listen. You need to know the facts before you make assumptions. Stop stereotyping!